Welcome to episode 87 of Accessible Finance for Retirement. I'm Eric Johns.
And I'm Rachael Johns.
Let's do this.
Ooh, that's a new one.
I did. I changed it up.
You did.
I was feeling it.
Impressive.
Yeah.
So we're going to continue along with our segment of listener questions and things that I've kind of come across. And we're just going to surprise you with.
Great.
Let's do this, as he likes to say.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So the first question that we have is from somebody who says, when is the right time to hire a financial advisor? We are approximately 5 years out. Everything is pretty much in tax-deferred 401ks. I'm trying to build some flexibility now with Roth and brokerage. Does it make sense to hire someone now or wait until I'm closer to retirement?
Fantastic question. We get this question quite a bit. The short answer is it depends on how much value they can provide, right? That's going to be the succinct answer, but that doesn't really help you. So in this spot, you're essentially articulating that you're about to do some Roth conversions. You want to change from your tax deferred to tax free, right? Or at least some of your buckets. You want to fill up the tax free bucket. It doesn't sound like they have maybe not anything in a Roth.
Yeah, it sounds like it's just a very new.
So first we have to.
Tool.
I think the answer to their specific question, I know they didn't say, should I specifically hire a financial advisor, but when they ask generally when, I guess the when is when you no longer feel comfortable managing your own situation or you're just looking for, a second set of eyes. There are a number of reasons that people do it. I jokingly say some people are just, I probably could do this all.
Yeah.
Or they feel like they could do this all, but they don't want to, right? They don't want to devote that kind of time.
Yes.
Others just, want professional asset management. Others want the whole picture, right?
I imagine it kind of like quadrants where, your X might measure your desire to do this and your Y might measure your capacity to do it.
I like that.
Thank you.
Better than my answer by a lot.
Teacher here. But I think that in 3 of the 4 quadrants, you are likely going to benefit from taking advantage of financial planners' guidance and expertise. Of course, the last quadrant being the I can and want to do this, then you're probably not even looking at forums where people are asking about
right.
Generally, should find a financial advisor.
Generally speaking, there's a lot that's going to be going on, though, to where you probably want a professional second set of eyes. Even if you are willing and able to do it yourself, it's almost certainly worth like a one-time planning fee to verify that you actually do know as much as you do. A lot of personal finance, you don't know what you don't know,
I was
right?
just going to say that.
The breadth of tax laws and, investment options alone, much less 401k plans and everything else.
Correct.
So one of the things that I wanted to mention to this or speak to in this specific question is you have to review your 401k plan to see if you're even able to do in-plan rollovers or in-plan distributions, right? Because you would need to be able to do one of those two things to get the funds into a tax-free account. Unless your 401k plan has a Roth option, all of these things you can find, but they're notoriously pretty difficult.
Tedious. Well, in addition to the static rules that exist, you also have an ever-changing political landscape that has led to things that people may not be hyper aware of unless they're either professionally in the business or spend all of their free time researching this stuff.
Correct.
So if you feel you're in that 4th quadrant where you have the capacity and the desire, the fortunate thing is that, financial planners come in all shapes and sizes. And there are many who are willing to work with people who, like Eric said, just want another set of eyes or a one-time plan or a view of where you're at.
I would also say that decumulation tends to be a little bit more complex and interesting to me because of the tax consequences than accumulation. What I mean by that is when you're graduating college in your 20s and you're embarking on your first job or second job or whatever, you're stuffing money in a 401k, you've selected your allocation, you might have a target retirement 2060 or whatever. And it's off in the horizon and you're just chugging along, right? Like you're spending your W-2, you're saving the maximum in your 401k and you're happy.
Right.
And then there's a ton of options when it comes to Medicare, Social Security. How are we going to move these assets from a 401k or a tax deferred account to a tax free account?
So that actually leads me to another question that I had further down that I'm just going to jump to. Someone had said, currently I have Fidelity for my investments.
Okay.
And they were inquiring as to who best to work with in order to actually plan out which investments to use first and the timing of retirement withdrawals. And their first thought was an estate planner is who they should work with.
That is
yeah.
Interesting.
So they said, I may have to retire earlier than expected and want to ensure I'm managing my IRA, 401k, et cetera, properly. And I think this is a case of somebody conflating a financial planner and a Fidelity investment advisor. Right?
Okay.
Like if you have somebody working with you at Fidelity, Edward Jones, one of these big places, and you've worked with them for a while, they're saying they're a financial planner and their expertise or the conversations have always only been in the investment side of things and haven't really talked retirement planning or anything like that.
Okay.
I think it's easy to assume that that is what financial planners do, that they invest. And, you know, we've interacted with many people that believe that even if that's not the only thing you do, it's 90% of what you do because that's where the big bucks are. That's where you can, you know, really make a difference in somebody's plan. And we've talked a lot about how that, in fact, is not really the case. But I found it really interesting that their first instinct was an estate planner. Thoughts?
Yeah. So when I hear estate planner, I'm thinking an estate attorney, to be honest.
Yes, me too.
But I'm certainly not thinking a financial. Usually, just nomenclature is just all over the place in this industry. You can kind of call yourself whatever you want. There's not a ton of rules around it. You don't have to have a CFP to call yourself a financial planner. You can say that if you didn't even graduate high school, right? You can call yourself whatever you want. Point is, financial planner, financial advisor are just ubiquitous. They're widely used by, you know, potentially like commission only insurance salespeople. And just people that you would think, like if I hear financial advisor, the implication there is that you're going to receive advice on what you should do and what decisions you ought to make, rather than just, hey, we're going to collect an AUM fee and we're going to just put your money in some funds. So,
and this is where knowledge of the designations themselves is very important.
Sure.
Google is a really good friend here. You can at least search the letters behind their name and see what they mean and if they're useful for you.
I like the way I like to describe it now is the Kitsis way, and he calls instead of calling ourselves financial advisors or financial planners, he calls it financial advisors, because we are in the business of giving financial advice.
Don't say that.
Right. So he's also my guy.
Yeah,
love him, Michael Kitsis, great dude.
I should take the picture of you guys together and put it in the podcast.
I love that picture.
I know you do.
You should.
I will.
That would be great. But just to speak to the question a little bit more, it's going to be rough when you're speaking with anybody at Fidelity to get the entire picture, because they're going to be limited in scope, right? Like our understanding is that they strictly cannot give tax advice. Correct. They are not able to. They will tell you as much if you ask them directly. They'll say they can provide tax education, but they cannot provide tax advice. What that looks like is it will fall short of what you would get if you worked with a financial planner that was doing tax planning, right?
You're not going to get something as comprehensive as you may believe you're getting.
Right. But to the question, though, we're talking about decumulation, right? And how to unwind accounts and what to spin down first. And the thought was, let's go to an estate planner. I'm thinking estate attorney. That is 100% not what they will do. Like an estate attorney absolutely will not talk to you in any meaningful capacity about your investment philosophies. Maybe you'll hear something about equities or fixed income, right? Because they might be talking about like an IDGT, and they'll talk about the assets that are most likely to appreciate, and they will say maybe that equities are going to be more likely to appreciate than fixed income, but they are terrified.
I don't think they're going to say that at all.
They don't really want you to hold their feet to the fire there.
I think they are going to avoid speaking beyond their expertise, like I mean, that is drilled into you. That's like legal education 101.
The estate attorneys that I've interacted with have been incredibly hesitant to do so. They'll be very deferent when it comes to that. They'll say explicitly, they'll say things like, hey, this is where you might want your highly appreciative or your assets that are most likely to appreciate.
They're not going to tell you
that's
what
fine,
those
but
are.
they're not going to tell you what that ticker is. They're not going to say VOO goes here.
When we're when we're talking, like when this person says an estate planner, right? I think you and I both immediately went to estate attorney, because estate planner is not really nomenclature that we would hear, right? Now, there are financial planners that specialize in
The ones that
estate
are
planning and retirement
right,
planning,
right.
which is great. But it's going to be very important if you're working with one person on your investment advice and you're trying to work with a holistic planner on a very specific area, that it becomes complicated for them to be able to give best advice if they're not able to.
Right. When we're talking about financial planning, what you want to do is you want to go to the planner, the financial advisor is going to be the quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that person will bring in other experts as needed, right? So if you have a very complicated college planning scenario where you're unwinding college loans, they might bring in a college loan consultant and interface with them so that you're, getting the most accurate and comprehensive,
up to date.
Right. Exactly. The laws are, boy, those
talking
about
quickly.
landscape changing. Yeah. Boy, is that one just absolutely under.
Well, and that's what's hard. I think that the best thing, like we were just talking about how if you're trying to DIY something, you don't know what you don't know. The role of a financial advisor or a professional in this arena is to be acutely aware of what they don't know and to say, okay, like my expertise is in these areas. Right. If I have a client whose needs fall outside of them, I have a professional network that I can tap into to get, the best, most complete advice in that arena.
Right. So I do think that you should start with a comprehensive planner or advisor, right? In this case, as I would say, go to the financial advisor, ask them for their views, right? They're gonna do kind of a comprehensive analysis and give it to you. And then part of that comprehensive analysis should be how you should unwind your assets, where they would think about selling first, how they would think about the withdrawal strategy in general. Because typically, just to let you know, it's not going to be an all or nothing. You don't sell all of stock A and none of stock B. It's usually going to be pro rata. It might be rebalancing. Like some people want to create income streams. You get to choose how you do these things, right? So there are a number of strategies and philosophies. I would say rebalancing probably takes the cake. Yeah. So you'll have what that means is you'll have, a target allocation, like you want to be 60-40. So if stocks go up to 70, right, and now you're 70-30, right, because it has to add up to 100, now you're taking the stocks out. So in that specific situation, you're taking the stocks out, but it's not like usually financial advisors won't be telling you, oh, well, we're going to sell Tesla today, but not Apple and not NVIDIA because we're really high on Apple and NVIDIA, but not so much Tesla. That's not going to be said because it's likely that they'll be in globally diversified index funds, right? So when it comes time to sell equities, it's going to be the portion of the equities that are appreciating, right? They're going to have, 64% US, 36% international or something along those lines. And then if US moves up within the equity component, if the US is higher, then that's what's being sold more. And then whether it's small cap, large cap, right? Like there's all kinds of granularity you can get into there, but it's usually not to the individual stock level. That's my point.
I mean, and if you want it to be at the individual stock level, there are certainly people you can find who will do that.
Right. But
like we discussed, there's definitely a wide array of
practitioners.
Yes.
But we would say that academia and peer-reviewed journal research indicates that is not a viable strategy over time. And so we're not going to implement it if you work with us.
Correct. Right? That would not be our recommendation.
Correct. But absolutely not say, I would actually tell you to run if you go to an advisor, or they're not going to call themselves advisors because no advisor in my mind would ever recommend individual stocks.
They're
unless they're doing a core satellite strategy. Yeah, exactly. They're not Michael Kitces fans like I
am. Okay.
No true Scotsman, right, Rachel?
Next question. So number 3. I've been reading a lot about RMDs and IRA rollovers. Just asking for general thoughts here at 67. Does it make sense to consider shifting from an IRA to a Roth? I am recently semi-retired. Thanks.
Fantastic question that we would need tons more information to answer accurately. The short answer is you almost certainly want to shift, but the magnitude and the quantification is going to be incredibly variable, right? Like we have no idea what your tax deferred account looks like. Let me just put a little bit of, I guess, color around the discussion, right? So to frame it, if you have more assets in your tax deferred account, if you had, let's say, 10 million in your tax deferred account, you may well want to be converting right now to avoid enormous RMDs. You may well want to be converting up to maybe the top of the 24% bracket, right? Maybe even the 32, okay? But if you have, I don't know, $500,000 in tax deferred assets and you're living mostly on Social Security and other fixed income sources like pension or whatever, then it's highly unlikely that you want to convert all of it. You might just fill up the 12 and be content. You may fill up the 12 and some of the 22, but you can math it all out to see what makes the most sense for you.
And that's what's tricky too. I think that in addition to looking at what your current position is, you're also looking not at years in a vacuum, right? You're looking long-term at the lifetime tax rates that you're going to have and what your expected tax rate's going to be later on. And then being able to, like, you could easily fall into yes, it makes sense to convert to a Roth. That doesn't mean take all of your money out this year and put it into a Roth.
Right. So, please don't do that.
Right.
Again, we've seen that. It's not great. Don't do it.
It's really bad.
Resist the urge.
Do it. But if you're working with a planner, they should be able to quantify over a number of years, right? Like how much to convert or what the options are. Like they may say like option A is to convert up to here. Right. Here are the pros, here are the cons. Option B is to convert up to here. Here are the pros, here are the cons. And then at least kind of ballpark the next few years if it's something that you're going to do in a laddered way. So it's not as simple as a yes or no question.
Yeah, that's what Rachel said is exactly the right way to think about it. A couple of things that I would say, just general rules. Mm-hmm. The more money you have in tax deferred, generally the larger the tax bracket you're going to want to convert to. Mm-hmm. If you have heirs or a legacy that you're trying to leave, the more likely you are to want to convert funds to a Roth. There's even for your own personal, tax savings over your mm-hmm. own lifetime, even if you have no heirs, there's probably a number that is not zero, a non-zero number that you're going to want to convert, right? It's just going to be on the lower end. And then the more interested you are in your legacy, the higher end, the higher earners, the higher earning potential and the higher earnings currently that your heirs have also mm-hmm. is a factor, right? If they're making a ton more money, then it's valuable for you to pay in the 12% if your heirs mm-hmm. might be paying in the 37%, 35% because they're doctors or lawyers or whatever. They're highly successful, or highly paid, I guess I should say. Let's don't
conflate the two.
Right.
And it's interesting because this person says they're semi-retired, so you would need to know
exactly what is their earning. What are their earnings
exactly.
Like? How much space do they even have in the 12 or 22?
Right, what their space is. And we don't know if there's anything currently in a Roth. Do they have nothing in a Roth, in which case, we've talked about the importance of the 3 buckets.
Right, tax diversification.
Exactly. So there are factors that go beyond just the numbers as well, just for best practice purposes as well here. All right, Eric, question number 4 is a pretty simple, straightforward one.
Okay, I like these. That's good.
So this person missed the due date, which was September 15th, for estimated taxes.
Okay.
And wants to know if they can pay it now or if they have to wait until the next due date, the next quarter.
Oh, you can certainly pay it now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just gonna be late by the amount of days that you paid it. I would also say to explore withholding, because that will always count as January 1st for the year that it's withheld, right? So what I'm saying right there is...
Like if they're W-2, you're saying?
Or if they have an RMD, you can also withhold from an
mm-hmm.
RMD, right? So you can you could withhold from an RMD, or you can take a distribution from your retirement account. As long as you're 59 and a half and it's a qualified distribution, you can withhold from those, right? So if you have a tax deferred account, you can withdraw from that and withhold up to like 99 point some high number percentage of the withdrawal or of the distribution for taxes. Like you can just send it essentially straight to the federal government.
Yeah.
It's like I can go take $100,000 out, write myself a check for like, $10, $9, and then the rest of it can go straight to the federal government. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's perfect. And it's interesting because
$99,990.
The post was made on the 17th. The due date was the 15th. So the person is currently 2 days out, right? But if you're waiting, like if you're not moving forward with your strategy of withholding, mm-hmm. and then you wait until the next quarter, you've taken something that would have been 2 days,
right,
and made it
90-ish.
Yeah,
right,
3 months exactly.
Right. To be fair, the what is it? AFR, I think it is, applicable federal rate, is the rate that they use to charge interest. So that's the only thing that you'll be paying, and it's only on the portion that would have been due. So at most, you're paying what, like 90 over the 360 so like a quarter. Right, of the taxes that were owed in that quarter, right? So if your payment's $1,000, like you're just paying interest on the $250, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So not bad. It's not terrible. But I understand the desire to reduce fees and penalties and interest.
For sure. And if somebody that's that hyper aware of it, is someone who's meticulously keeping track of their reg. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Exactly. So
nothing wrong with that. That's a great way to be. Love it.
It's your A+ student who's worried they got an A-.
Right. But yeah, look for withholdings. I like withholdings.
That's
Do them
a
at the
good
end of the year.
strategy. Yeah.
Avoid loaning the government
I was going
money.
to say, then you can maximize the returns on your money for
Yeah,
the
if you
whole
really
year.
want to min-max, you withhold in the fourth quarter or closer to December, right? And then it counts for January. You were able to earn interest on those funds the whole year, and then you pay it at the very end.
Yeah, I like it. All right. Well, Eric, that wraps up our questions for today. I have a whole slew that we are going to continue with in our next few segments.
Excellent. I'm excited.
All right. Until next time.
Thanks, guys.